Good day everyone. So I am the first presenter of the Challengers group. I am Jessica Adlawan. So our presentation is all about roots. Types of root systems and zones of growth. The root tip has three main zones, which is the zone of cell division, zone of elongation, and zone of maturation. So when we say zone of cell division, it is the closest to the root tip and is made up of the actively dividing cell of the root meristem, which contain the undifferentiated cells of the germinating plant. So, siya ay ang pinakamalapit sa dulo ng ugat ng mga halaman or even the tree. Ito ay binubuo ng mga selula ng root meristem. So when we say meristem, ito ang plant tissue na nagbubuo o bumubuo ng totipotent cells upang magbigay daan sa paglaki ng halaman. So next is the zone of elongation, is where the newly formed cells increase in length, thereby lengthening the root. So the zone of elongation ay kung saan ang bagong nabuong cells ay tumataas ang haba nang sa gayon ay nagpapahaba ng ugat or the root. Beginning at the first root here is the zone of cell maturation, where the root cell differentiated into the specialized cells type. So next is the zone of maturation. The vascular tissues of the root become differentiated. So dito ang cells, dito sa zone of maturation, dito ang cells ay nag-iiba compare sa cell division and the zone of elongation. It serves as function of the plants protection, storage, and conductance of plants. Seen in a cross section, the zone of maturation of many roots has an outer layer which is the epidermis, and the deeper level is the cortex and the central region that includes the conducting vascular tissue. So when we say epidermis, in botany, outermost protoderm, derived layer of cells covering the stem, root, leaf, flower, fruit, and seed parts of a plant. So when we say cortex, also in plant tissue of unspecialized cells lying between the epidermis, surface cells, and the vascular or conducting tissues of stems and roots. So also sa topic nga roots, so naapod siya radicle, meristem, and germination. So kung ingon tag radicle, it is the rudimentary shoot of a plant that supports the cotyledon and the seed, and from which the root is developed downward the root of the embryo. So ang radicle ay ang panimulang shoot of the plants that support the cotyledon. So when we say cotyledon, ito ay ang isang embryonic na dahon or sa mga halaman na may buto. Ang isa o higit pa sa mga ito ay ang mga unang dahon or the first leaf na lumilitaw mula sa isang tumutubo na binhi. So next is the meristem, the plant tissue composed of totipotent cells that allows plant to grow. So just like what I said earlier, ang meristem ito ay ang plant tissue na nagbubuo o bumubuo ng totipotent cells. So when we say totipotent cells, it is a cell that have the capacity to self-renew by dividing and to develop into the three primary germ cell layers of the early embryo and into extra embryonic tissues such as the placenta. So ito ay ang nagbibigay daan sa paglaki ng halaman. Type of root systems. There are two types of root system, which is the dicot have a taproot system, while a monocot have a fibrous root systems, which also known as an adventitious root system. So the difference between the dicot and the monocot. So, ang mga ugat ng monocot ay mahibla or the fibrous. Ibig sabihin ay bumubuo sila ng malawak na network na manipis na mga ugat na nagmumula sa tangkay or from the stem at nananatiling malapit sa ibabaw ng lupa. Kabaligtaran naman ang dicot ay may mga taproots. So ibig sabihin sila ay ang bumubuo ng isang makapal na ugat na lumalaki ng malalim sa lupa at may maliit lateral na mga sanga. So as you can see sa pictures na ako ang pakita is ang monocot is ang iyahang mga ugat is adventitious root system kanang kuan kana ang iyahang mga ugat is ang motubo na siya ibabaw lang sa yuta. Tapos ang ihang ugat is kanang malawak, then ang nigpis lang siya. Well, the dicot is ang iyahang motubo na siya ilalom sa lupa. Then ang iyahang mga ugat is kanang dagko. Main types of root systems. The top root systems have a main root that grows down, just like what I said. Fibrous root system consists of many small roots. So example of the top root system include carrot, mustard, radish, turnip, beetroot, parsley, coriander, and etc. So kung makita nato example sa carrot, diba? Mutubog yun na siya dito ilalom sa lupa. Tapos ang fibrous root systems consist of many small roots. Example of these are include grasses, wheat, rice, corn, rosemary, coconut, and etc. So kung makapansin ta, diba, sa kanang grasses or sa sagbot, ang iyahang ugat is kanang utubo ra gyud na siya naa sa ibabaw sa lupa. Din ang iyahang mga ugat is kanang mga gagmay pero kanang kuan gagmay tapos nipis pero kuan siya ang ihang ugat daghan or malawak.
Hello everyone, I am Marlis Luis and I'm here to report about the root growth and anatomy root growth. So it begins with seed germination. When the plant embryo emerges from the seed, the radicle of the embryo forms the root system. The tip of the root is protected by the root cap, a structure exclusive to roots and unlike any other plant structures. The root cap is continuously replaced because it is easily damaged as the root pushes through soil. The root tip can be divided into three zones: a zone of cell division, a zone of elongation, and a zone of maturation. So the zone of cell division is closest to the root tip and is made up of the actively dividing cell from the root meristem, which contains the undifferentiated cell of germinating plant. The zone of elongation is where the newly formed cell increase in length, thereby lengthening the root. And beginning at the first root hair is the zone of cell maturation, where the root cells differentiate into specialized cells type. So, makuha na ito dali guys nung kining ugat day, kining roots kay nasa one tulo ka zone no, which is ang zone of cell division and zone of elongation and the zone of maturation. So, dito sa next slide guys, makuha na ito ning mga kuan kining tulo ka zone sa kuan guys sa ugat. All three zones are approximately the first centimeter of the root tip. So, dito nga kuan guys, no, na picture nga makita nato ri ang kuan sa structure sa ugat ug ang kuan yang mga parts sa ugat, no? Zone of the root tip, a zone longitudinal view of the root reveals the zone of cell division, and then the elongation and maturation cell division occurs in the apical meristem. So, this picture guys, kita na itong tulo ka zone niya, which is ang area of maturation kaya nasa una. And then this area of maturation day. Ito makita ang kining vascular cylinder o ang root hair, no? Ang kining vascular cylinder mo na siyang pinakatunga jud sa kuan ugat. Then ang kining root hair mo ito sa tong kuan murag magkarat kana sa kilid-kilid. Nako tong murag magbubuo sa kuan ugat. And then diri sa tunga ang area of elongation, no? And then diri sa ikatulo ang area of cell division. So dili pa nato makita ang kuan pinakatumoy sa ugat, no, ug ang apical meristem ug ang root cap. So muna siya ang kuan guys, no, kanang root cap kining nasa pinakatumoy. Muna siya ang kuan kanang katong ganiya nga kanang magkataas ang ugat or magkakuha ng ugat, no, kay mo tuklod man siya sa kuan yuta. So pero hindi siya malisdan kay syempre ma-damage man siya kay once nga mudako ang kuan, dako ang plants, no, muka daghan pa ng ugat, taas yang katay. So mo na nga kuan ang matuklod ng kuan root cap permanente. So permi siya kuan kanang malisdan. So muna siyang kuan guys ang forma sa roots ag kanang sa ugat din ang iyang mga parts. Also ang kuan yang tree zone. So unta nga namin na learn og parto matita sa next reporter. Salamat.
Good day everyone, I am Giselle Serna Aurelio. Today I will be going to report our topic since our topic is all about the root. So here's the report that assigned to me. The root has an outer layer of cells called the epidermis, which surrounds areas of ground tissue and vascular tissue. The epidermis provides protection and helps in absorption. Root hairs, which are extensions of root epidermal cells, increase the surface area of the root, greatly contributing to the absorption of water and minerals. So the root has an outer layer of cells and gitawag ni siya epidermis, which is napalibutan siya sa ground tissue and vascular tissue. So epidermis is naga-provide subsiyag protection and help og makatabang siya sa pag-absorb. Root hairs, which is karugtong daw siya sa root epidermal cells, increase the surface area of the root nga makakontribute siya sa pag-absorb sa water and minerals. So I have a question here about the root hairs. So what is the importance of root hair? Root hairs form an important surface nga needed siya maka-absorb most of the water and nutrients needed for the plant. So di ba jud ang plant ug ang tao is same lang ta. Kay kita nga tao as a person need sab na to water, nutrients, and sunlight. And also the plant needs sab nila water, nutrients, and sunlight para to grow healthy. So ano lang, murag connected lang ta, same lang ta sa kanang plant, kay ang plant needs sab nila water ug sunlight para mabuhi. As kita pud nga tao needs sab na to water para mabuhi sab. So next is inside the root, the ground tissue forms two regions, which is cortex and pith. So ang cortex daw is outer siya, outer region siya. Ang pith is inner regions. So ang cortex daw is between siya sa epidermis and vascular bundle. So ang pith kay inside lang na siya sa located siya sa center sa stem or sa root. So that's all of my report. I hope you'll understand.
Okay, so hi everyone, I am Emily Camino. So since our presentation is all about roots, so here is the topic that assigned to me. First is the dicot root structure. So in this video, we are going to go over the external and internal anatomy of a dicotyledon root. The dicot root consists of a taproot system. This system consists of a central taproot, also known as the primary root. Lateral roots extend out from the central taproot called secondary roots. Branches from the secondary roots are called tertiary roots. Along these roots, you will find root hairs which increase the surface area for absorption of water and minerals. Within the root, like in all other plant organs, there are three types of tissue. First is the dermal tissue, second is the ground tissue, third is vascular tissue. If we take a cross section through the root, we see that the outer layer consists of the epidermis. This is the dermal tissue. The epidermis function is providing protection for the root. The epidermis has tubular extensions forming root hairs. And from this layer, you will find the ground tissue. The ground tissue consists of the cortex, which is filled with parenchyma cells. The innermost layer of the cortex is called the endodermis. The cells of the endodermis are thickened along the radial axis, creating what is called the Casparian strip or band. The next layer in this is the pericycle, which is the internal meristem, the part of the root involved in the growth of lateral roots. The center of the root houses the vascular tissue. The xylem and phloem are separated from one another by an egg-shaped formation of the vascular cambium. So let's move on in monocot growth structure. So in this video, we are going to go over the external and internal anatomy of monocotyledon root. The monocot root consists of a fibrous root system. The initial primary root is replaced with many thin roots originating from the base of the stem. Along these roots, you will find the root hairs, which increase the surface area for absorption of water and minerals. Within the root, there are three types of tissue. First is the dermal tissue, second is the ground tissue, third is vascular tissue. If we take a cross section through the root, we see the outer layer consists of the epidermis. This is the dermal tissue. The epidermis has tubular extensions forming root hairs. And from the epidermis, you will find the ground tissue. The first layer of a ground tissue is the cortex, which is filled with parenchyma cells. The innermost layer of the cortex is called the endodermis. The cells of the endodermis are thickened along the radial axis, creating what is called the Casparian strip or band. The next layer is the pericycle. The center of the cell houses the vascular tissue of the root. The vascular tissue consists of an alternating pattern of the xylem and phloem. The xylem is involved in the transport of water from the roots to the stems, while the phloem is involved in the movement of the food products made in the leaves down through the rest of the plant. And from the vascular tissue, in the center of the monocot root, you will find the pith. This is the absent in dicot roots. The pith consists of parenchyma cells that function in storage in the root. And lastly, the metaxylem. Okay, so that's all guys. Again, I am Emily Camino. Thank you.
Good day to each and everyone. I am Halil Reveal. At this point, I am going to report about root modification. Root modifications in some plants are root change their shape and get modified to absorb and transport water and minerals from the soil to different part of the plants. Root modifications. Plants have a wide variety of roots for functions and diverse as structural support, food storage, and parasitism. Ang root modification isang uri ng mga halaman na may iba't ibang uri ng mga ugat para sa iba't ibang paggana gaya ng suporta sa instruktura at pag-iimbak ng pagkain at sa mga parasitism. There are many different types of specialized roots structures, but two of the more familiar types of roots include aerial roots and storage roots. Aerial roots grow above the ground, typically providing structural support. Ang kining aerial roots di ay mooni siya ang mga tanom na ang mga ugat naa sa ibabaw sa yuta. Ang storage roots pod, for example, taproots and tuberose roots are modified for food storage. So ang example aning storage roots ay ang kanang mga presa ng mga carrots o sweet potato. Ang kalahian aning aerial roots o storage roots ay ang aerial roots ang ugat nasa babaw sa lupa. Ang storage roots naa sa ilalom ang iyang ugat. So mo nang kalahian niya sa duha. Aerial roots. Aerial roots are found in many different kinds of plants, offering varying functions depending on the location of the plant. So ang aerial roots ay makikita sa iba't ibang uri ng halaman na nagbibigay ng iba't ibang function depende na lang sa location kung asa ni siya motubo nga tanom. Epiphytic roots are types of aerial roots. Ang epiphytic roots ay type pragyapon ni siya sa aerial root that enable a plant to grow on another plant in a parasitic manner. So ang epiphytic roots ay uri ng sa naingon na ako kanina ay uri ng aerial roots lagi hapon na magbibigay daan sa isang halaman na tumutubo sa ibang halaman in a non-parasitic manner. So dirita sa aerial prop roots develop from the branches and eventually search the ground, providing additional support. So aerial prop roots develop from the branches and eventually reach the ground, providing additional support. So mao ni ang example nga picture sa epiphytic. The epiphytic roots from orchids develop spongy tissue to absorb moisture and nutrients from any organic material on their roots. The epiphytic roots ay nagmula sa mga orchids. Kung inyo kasagaran na ito makita na magini siya sa mga orchids na nagkakaroon ng spongy tissue upang sumipsip ng mga moisture at nutrients mula sa anumang organikong material sa kanilang mga ugat. So Mintin naman ta nakakitaan na mga tanom na muna siya ang example sa epiphytic roots. Next, in screw pine, a palm-like tree that grows in sandy tropical soil. Aerial roots develop to provide additional support that help the tree remain upright in shifting sand and water conditions. So ang screw pine, mutubo ra ni siya. Kung inyo makita mo ng example sa screw pine, ang kiniday siya ng mga tanom, mutubo ra di ay ni siya sa mga balasun na mga lupa kagaya ng mga sa mga buhangin.
Good day everyone, my name is Jinjin Chibagohin. They usually grow underground for protection from planting animals. Some plant, however, such as leaf, succulent, and cacti store energy in their leaves, stems, respectively, instead of in their root. So, there are many different types of specialized root, but two of the more familiar types of root include aerial roots and storage root. Aerial root grow above the ground, typically providing structural support. Storage root, for example, taproot and tuberous root are modified for food storage. Root adapt to provide stability for the plant and to facilitate the exchange of nutrients. For example, in places where soil is loosely packed, plant like mangroves while adapt to have aerial roots which can also absorb important nutrients from the earth. Different between taproot and fibrous root. So the fibrous root system occupies less surface area than taproot. Taproot grows vertically downward and those reaches deep into the soil. The fibrous root grows horizontally in all directions and thus doesn't reach deep into the soil. The taproot system anchors the plant more firmly than the fibrous root. A taproot system has a single main root that grows down. An example of a taproot system is a carrot. Grasses such as with rice and corn are example of fibrous root system. Fibrous root system are found in monocots. Taproot system are found in dicots. So, mao ni siya ang example sa kuan sa taproot o carrot. So, ang kibali ang carrot is kuan ni siya kana ang iyahang kibalang iyahang bunga is naasa kuan is naasa ilalom sa yuta Tas ang like anang Luy Bombay mo na sila ang mga kuan kana ang mga taproot nga ni ang ilang bunga na tubo sa lalam sa yuta. So ang fibrous rose mo na siya ang kuan. Example niya is like anang rice, sibuyas dahonan, o more pa nga mga plant nga kuan kani ang ni tubo sa ibabaw. Tas ang kalahian niya is ang kuan sa
Hello everyone, my name is Milky Sarpasi, so I'm here to report my summary. Roots help to anchor a plant, absorb water and minerals, and serve as storage sites for food. Ang roots mao ni nagatabang sa ato ang plant sa pag-absorb og water and minerals and serve as a storage sites for foods. Taproots and fiber roots are the two main types of roots. Ang root na ay duha ka main types of root systems. Una, taproots and fibrous roots. In a taproot system, root grows vertically downward with a few lateral roots. Fibrous roots system arise at the base of the stem, where a cluster of roots forms a dense network that is shallower than a taproot. The growing root tip is protected by a root cap. The root tip has three main zones. First, zones of cell division. The zone of cell division is closest to the root tip. It is made up of the actively dividing cells of the root meristem. So ang zone of cell division tapad ni siya sa root tip. Zone of elongation. The zone of elongation is where the newly formed cells increase in a length, thereby lengthening the root. So ang zone elongation mao ni siya ang tumoy kibali sa roots katong pinaubos. Zone of maturation. Zone of maturation or zone of cell differentiation. The vascular tissues of the root become differentiated. So ang zone maturation mo na siya ang ginatawag na zone of cell differentiation. Di ba makabantay mo kanang naiugat na siya magsanga-sanga. Unya biskan asa siya na part nakakuan. So mao na ang zone of maturation. So mao ni atong example sa muna example na to, the roots for zones. Zone of maturation cells differentiate into different types of cells. Zone of elongation allows the roots to get deeper within the soil. Meristematic region, rapid mitosis of undifferentiated meristematic cells. Root cap protects the meristematic region. So naraw nakita ninyo ang atong example. Ang kaning sapik na differentiation muna ni siya ang zone of maturation. Root vascular tissue conducts water, mineral, and sugars. In some habitats, the roots of certain plants may be modified to form aerial roots or epithelial roots. And that's all. Thank you for watching.
Everyone, this is Genevieve G. Espanyol, and our topic for today was all about flower. And now let's start. Flowering plants are a member of the clade Angiospermae called angiosperm. When we say angiosperm, it means the moss of the plant that people eat today called angiosperm. For example, the wheat that bakers use to make bread, and fruits, vegetables, trees, grains, and tomatoes in our favorite salad. All of the plants are example of angiosperm. The term angiosperm is derived from the Greek word angion, means container or vessels, and sperma means seeds and refers to those plants that produce their seeds enclosed within a fruit. Next, in their range of color, size, form, and anatomical arrangement, flowers present a seemingly endless variety of the combination. They range in size from the minute blossoms to giant blossoms. In some of plants such as poppy, magnolia, tulip, and petunia. Each flower is relatively large and showy, and it's produced singly. Next, plants such as aster, snapdragon, and lilac. The individual flowers may be very small and be borne in a distinctive cluster known as inflorescence. So, inflorescence is a group or cluster of flowers arrangement on the stem that is composed of main branch or a complicated arrangement of branches. Regardless of their variety, all flowers have a uniform function, the reproductions of the species through the reproduction of seed. So next, this flower's name sunflower. So specific name is Helianthus, known as sunflower, is a genus comprising about 70 species of annual and perennial flowering plants in the daisy family Astracati. The common names of sunflower and the common sunflowers typically refers to the popular annual species Helianthus annus, whose round flower heads of combinations with the ligules look like the sun. So, genus means is a principle of taxonomic category that ranks above species in the below family in the scientific classification, and is made up of one or more species or a group of related living things. So next, Petunia. Petunia is a genus of 20 species of flowering plants of South American origin. The popular flower of the same name derived from the epithet from the French, which took the word patum, meaning tobacco or tobacco, from Topi Guarani language, and annual. Most of the variety seems in gardens are hybrids. Petunia times achicana, also known as Petunia times hybrida. The next flower is lilac. The scientific name is Syringa. Lilac is a genus of 12 currently recognized species of flowering woody plants in the olive family, Olicaceae, native of woodland and scrub from the southern Europe to Eastern Asia, and widely and commonly cultivated in temperature areas elsewhere. And that's all. Thank you.
Hi everyone, this is Edeline Concha, and now I am going to discuss the form and types of a flower. And before I discuss the form and types of a flower, I will discuss first what is a flower. What is a flower? A flower, sometimes known as a bloom or blossom, reproductive structure found in flowering plants. The biological function of a flower is to facilitate reproduction, usually by providing a mechanism for the union of sperm with eggs. Basically, each flower consists of a floral axis upon which are borne the essential organ of reproduction, stamen and pistils, and usually accessory organ, sepals and petals. The latter may serve to both attract pollinating insects and protect the essential organs. The floral axis is a greatly modified stem. Unlike vegetative stems, which bear leaves, it is usually contracted so that the stems tip. The receptacle, the flower parts are usually arrayed in whorls. Whorls is a pattern of spiral or concentric circles, but may also be disposed spirally, especially if the axis is elongate. There are common 4 distinct whorls of flower parts. An outer calyx consisting of sepals. Within it lies the corolla consisting of petals. Next is the androecium or group of stamen, and in the center is the gynoecium consisting of the pistils, the parts of a flower, like petals, which are modified leaves that surround the reproductive parts of a flower. They are often brightly colored or unusually shaped to attract pollinators. Next is stamen. Stamen is the pollen-producing reproductive organ of a flower. Collectively, the stamen forms the androecium of a flower. Next is the ovule plant structure that develop into a seed when fertilized. Another part of a flower is a pistil, the female reproductive part of a flower. Next is ovary. An ovary is a part of a female reproductive organ of a flower or gynoecium. The primary ovary function is to protect the ovules. In many plants, often pollination the ovary swells to form the fleshy part of a unit of a flower. Next is another example of parts of a flower. Petals. Petals has a unique shape and color to attract pollinator. Stamen, male part with a slender filament supporting the anther. Next is sepal. Sepal protects flower before it opens. Receptacle refers to vegetative tissues near the end reproductive stems that are situated below or encase the reproductive organs. Next is pedicel. Pedicel is a stalk of a flower. Ovary, the pistil that holds the egg awaiting fertilization, become the fruit. Style, the passageway for pollen. Next is the stigma, sticky bulb that catches pollen grains. Pistil is a female parts of a flower. The androecium or male parts of a flower comprise the stamens, each of which consists of supporting filament and an anther in which pollen is reproduced. Ang androecium o mga bahagi ng lalaki ng bulaklak ay binubuo ng mga stamen na ang bawat isa ay binubuo ng sumusuportang filament at isang anther kung saan ang pollen ay ginagawa. Ang gynoecium or female parts of a flower comprise one or more pistils, each of which consists of an ovary with an upright extension, the style on the top of which rests the stigma and the pollen receptive surface. Ang gynoecium o babaeng bahagi ng bulaklak ay binubuo ng isa o higit pang mga pistil na ang bawat isa ay binubuo ng isang ovary na matuwid na extension or style na nasa tuktok nito ng stigma. This picture is a lily with a pistil surrounded by stamen. A flower having sepals, petals, stamen, and pistils is complete. Lacking one or more such as structure, it is said to be incomplete. A flower that lacks stamen is pistillate or female, while one that lacks pistil is said to be staminate or male. Monoecious is a plant which has the capacity to bear both male and female reproductive structure. The flowers themselves may be unisexual or hermaphroditic, and they may be produced at the same or different times. When the male and female flowers are on different plants, the plant is dioecious. Dioecious meaning having male reproductive organs in one individual and female in another. Polygamous. When there are male, female, and bisexual flowers on the same plant, the plant is termed polygamous. Polygamous means consists of any mating system where a female or a male mates with two or more members of the opposite sex. Next picture is a tulipa. Tulipa is a perfect flower with floral structure in multiples of 3. Tulipa, or called tulip, has 3 lobe stigma, 6 stamen, and 6 distinct parent parts.
Hi everyone, my name is Janlier Augusta. I'm here to report about the continuing of our reporting. First is Rafflesia arnoldi. Rafflesia arnoldi, the giant padma, is a species of flowering plant in the parasitic genus Rafflesia. It is noted for producing the largest individual flower on earth. It has a strong and unpleasant odor of decaying flesh. It is native to the rainforest of Sumatra and Borneo. Scientific name, Rafflesia arnoldi. Family, Rafflesiaceae. Order, Malpighialis. Kingdom, Plantae. Next is the Gazania regens. Gazania regens, sometimes called treasure flower, is a species of flowering plant in the family Asteraceae, native to southern Africa. It is naturalized elsewhere and is widely cultivated as an ornamental plant. Scientific name, Gazania regens. Higher classification, African daisies. Family, Asteraceae. Kingdom, Plantae. Order, Asterales. Rank, species. Next is the Vanda. Vanda, abbreviated in the horticultural trade as V, is a genus in the orchid family. Orchidaceae, there are about 80 species, and the genus is commonly cultivated for the marketplace. This genus and its allies are considered to be among the most specifically adapted of all orchids within the Orchidaceae genus. Vanda, Gaud, X. Spitzer. Family, Orchidaceae. Subfamily, Epidendroidea. Order, Asparagales. Kingdom, Plantae. Tribe, Vandae.
Hi everyone, I'm Jason Malacora and here's my report. So I'm going to tackle about pollination. Pollination. The stamens and pistils are directly involved with the production of seed. The stamen bears microsporangia spore cases in which are developed numerous microspores, potential pollen grains. The pistil bears ovules, each enclosing an egg cell. When a microspore germinates, it is known as a pollen grain. When the pollen sacs in the stamens anther arrive, the anther releases them and the pollen is shed. Fertilization can occur only if the pollen grains are transferred from the anther to the stigma of a pistil. A process known as pollination. As shown the table, how flowering plants reproduce. Reproduction in flowering plants begins with pollination. The transfer of pollen from another anther to stigma on the same flower or to stigma of another flower on the same plant. Self-pollination. Or from anther on one plant to the stigma of another plant. Cross-pollination. Once the pollen grain lodges on the stigma, a pollen tube grows from the pollen grain to an ovule. Two sperm nuclei then pass through the pollen tube. One of them unites with the egg nucleus and produces a zygote. The other sperm nucleus unites with two polar nuclei to produce an endosperm nucleus. The fertilized ovule develops into a seed. So there are two chief kinds of pollination. First, self-pollination, the pollination of a stigma by pollen from the same flower or another flower on the same plant. The second one, the cross-pollination, the transfer of pollen from the anther of a flower of one plant to the stigma of the flower of another plant of the same species.
Good day everyone, my name is Rosito Rendon Jr. Self-pollination, the process of self-pollination in an angiosperm. 1. Pollen from stamens strike to a bee as it visits a flower to collect food. 2. The bee travels to another plant to the same type. 3. Pollen on bee stood to a pistil at a flower on other plants. Seeds. Spike of seeds, carex, pendula, showing reduced floral parts adapted to wind pollination. Iris. A blue iris with contrasting yellow nectar guide indicating the location of the nectar to the honeybee, Apis mellifera.
Uncover how flowers attract their pollinators. So after a pollen grain has reached the stigma, it germinates and the pollen tube protrudes from it. This tube containing two male gametes, which is the sperm, extends into the ovary and reaches the ovule, discharging its gametes so that one fertilizes the egg cell, which becomes an embryo, and the other joins with two polar nuclei to form the endosperm. So after the pollen grain has reached the stigma, after sa maabot sa kadtong pollinators ang kadtong pollen, so mahagbong to siya sa yuta. Kung asa to siya nahagbong nga yuta is mutubo to siya. And then kung moingon ta og pollinators, mao na siya ang isa ka animals that helps carry pollen from the male part of the flower, which is the stamen, to the female part of the same or another flower, which is the stigma. So when we say stigma, it is a part of a pistil where pollen germinates, which is the stamen. Also mao na siya ang pollen nga nagaproduce og reproductive organ sa flower. Ngadto siya nga mutubo, it is consists the two male gametes, which is the sperm. It reaches the ovule, discharging its gamete para fertilize tong mga egg cell para mahimog embryo. And the other one is mag-join to ang polar nuclei para maka-form na po siya og endosperm. So mao ni siya ang pollinators and pollen. Ang pollinators is mao ni siya ang kaning butterflies nga gihatong i-reach ang kadto ang pollen nga naa sa flower. Well, ang kaning pollen is mao ni siya ang kaning mga kanang mura na siya pulbos kagagmaya nga manglupad kung muhangin nagika na siya sa flowers. And then last is the cultural significance. Flowers have been symbols of beauty in most civilizations of the world, and flower giving is still among the most popular of social amenities or the amenities. So kung ang flower is very useful, as we can see sa kanang ato ang kuan karon. So magamit na siya pag kanang, for example, mag-decorate during pag naay birthday party, or even useful na siya, very useful pag kanang naay wedding, no, or even kanang maghatag ka og bouquet, or even the token. So ing ana ka useful ang flower mo, nang dapat atoa silang kanang i-care, atoa silang alagaan. So that's all of our report. So hope na naamoy masabtan, and thank you.